Alan was so upset by the argument at Monty's wedding that he collapsed and had to be taken to the hospital. When Kevin arrived, he was shocked to find that his father wasn't in the operating room yet. The hospital required proof of ability to pay first, so all they would do is stabilize him. Kevin offered his black card for payment, but the hospital director thought it was a fake. "If you'll just get someone to swipe my card, you'll find out if it's real or not, won't you?" He turned around and gestured for the administrator's assistant to swipe the card. While this was going on, the hospital director turned around and spoke with the administrator who'd been arguing with Kevin.
"Go and call security. If that bank card is fake, instruct them to immediately arrest this young man and call the police."
Moments later, the assistant came back with the bank card. She politely said to Kevin, "Sir, here is your card as well as the hospital's invoice. Please remember to keep it in a safe place." The hospital director couldn't believe what had just happened.
Could this be true? He thought to himself. Where did this guy come from? Is he a celebrity or something?
Kevin was exhausted from worrying about his father and having to deal with all of this. "Now, can you please arrange for my father's surgery?"
"Yes, sir," the director said politely. "We'll prep him right away."
As they were wheeling Alan to pre-op, the surgeon stopped right in front of Kevin and spoke to him. "Kevin, what are you doing here? Is the patient your father?" "And you are?" "I'm Dr. Willow. We met at President Wright's birthday party." "Dr. Willow? Don't you work in Chicago? What are you doing in New York?" "The hospital arranged for me to come here for an exchange program. I'm working on a new specialty. What happened to your father? It looks like he had an acute myocardial infarction, a heart attack." "Dr. Willow, you must save my father," Kevin said sincerely. "Don't worry, I'll do my best." "Kevin, how do you know Dr. Willow?" "It's really nothing, Mom. I met her at a birthday party in Chicago, but I never expected to see her here in New York."
"Mr. Williams, a nurse has just informed me that your father's surgery will take about 3 hours. I've already arranged for a private room for him," the director said very courteously. This was a huge change from his attitude just a little while ago. He clearly knew that there were no more than 5 people in all of the New York City area who had a black card, so Kevin was someone he absolutely couldn't afford to offend. Kevin nodded his head indifferently. "If there's nothing else, you can stay here with your mother. I have something to attend to right now," the director said carefully.
Kevin didn't say anything but just nodded again. "Kevin, where did you ever get so much money from? I hope you're not involved in something illegal." "Don't worry, Mom. I earned it myself." Then he thought for a moment and continued. "Mom, I'll go to Uncle Thomas tomorrow to get back the money I lent the family. While I'm there, I'll completely cut my ties with them. And when we get back to Chicago, I'll hire a visiting nurse to help you and Dad." "Why would you throw your money away like that? Your father and I aren't old enough to need help taking care of ourselves. Kevin, will Lily be okay with letting us live with you? If she isn't willing, you mustn't force her. Don't let us get in the way of your marriage." "Mom, don't worry. Lily is very down-to-earth and understanding," Kevin said with a smile. He wasn't worried about Lily objecting at all because he knew she would definitely agree. But even if she didn't agree, Kevin could just buy another apartment for his parents to live in. Money was the least of his worries right now. Susan fell asleep on the sofa, probably from exhaustion after the scene at Monty's wedding. 3 hours had gone by and the director was walking into the office with Dr. Willow. "Dr. Willow, how is my father?" Kevin quickly asked her. "The surgery was successful and your father is out of danger," Dr. Willow replied. She looked absolutely exhausted. Obviously, the surgery wasn't as easy as she was letting on. Just then, they all heard footsteps hurrying down the hall. When the hospital director saw the middle-aged man in the lead, his face brightened.
"President Quinn, you must help me. This young man was rude to the intake administrator and pestered the head nurse. Worse yet, he even threatened to punch me."
This was an odd turn. After being so polite, the director was suddenly turning on Kevin and his mother. But the hospital director knew that Quinn held a lot of power throughout New York and that he was the real head of this hospital. With his wealth, he had political connections that allowed him to do pretty much anything he wanted. He knew that all Quinn had to do was say the word and Kevin's family would definitely be tossed out. Dr. Willow got very worried when she heard him making these complaints. She'd heard about Quinn's reputation, and now that she heard the director making these false accusations, she was afraid for Kevin's safety. Then the hospital director shouted at Kevin,
"What are you still standing there for? Get over here and apologize to President Quinn."
"Kevin, please go and apologize to President Quinn," Dr. Willow said worriedly. After all, Dr. Willow had heard about the scene Kevin had made in the emergency room, and she knew that Quinn had the director in his pocket. "Don't worry," Kevin said to Dr. Willow softly. Quinn walked over to Kevin and warmly shook his hand. "Mr. Williams, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. It took me longer than expected to get over here." "No problem at all. I still have the item you requested. Besides, I have some details to work out with the director," Kevin said stoically. When he heard that, Quinn was stunned for a moment. Then he shouted at the director, "Ernie Richter, have you been neglecting your duties?" Richter didn't know what to say for a moment. He never imagined that Kevin would know President Quinn. Then he thought for a second and remembered what Quinn had just said. Suddenly he wondered,
could President Quinn have come here especially for him? Holy crap! What kind of big shot did I just offend?
Richter was on the verge of tears. "Since Mr. Richter doesn't seem to want to answer your question, then let me do it for him," Kevin said with a smirk. "President Quinn, I don't know how often you're able to visit this hospital. Do you know what kind of employees you have? These administrators have no conscience. They park dying patients in the corridor while they shake down their families for money." Then Kevin calmly recounted what had happened earlier. "Ernie Richter, you're a real bastard," Quinn yelled right in the man's face. Before Richter could catch his breath and respond, Quinn continued his tirade. "I give this hospital a lot of support, and I've told you over and over to make sure that any patients who are in serious condition need to be treated. This is certainly not how you provide service in a respectable hospital. The mission is to help people, not to make a profit." As soon as he finished speaking, Quinn looked Richter in the eye and said, "Well, what do you have to say for yourself?"
"President Quinn, I know I was wrong," Richter said weakly.
"Shut up," Quinn frowned. "Pack up your things and get out of here." Then Quinn noticed Dr. Willow, who had been standing patiently next to Kevin while all this was going on. Kevin saw this and quickly reminded him, "President Quinn, please don't misunderstand. The administration was at fault, but it was Dr. Willow who saved my father." "You did well, Doctor," Quinn said seriously. "As of right now, you're the new director of this hospital." Then he continued, "Remember, the first thing you need to do when you take over is to reduce all charges by half. For any poor and seriously ill patients, we will only charge 10% of the set fees. That should set things straight." Dr. Willow shook her head in disbelief. "President Quinn, thank you for your kind offer, but I came to this hospital as part of a research exchange program. I'm officially on the payroll of Downtown General in Chicago." "Chicago?" Quinn took a long look at Dr. Willow and said decisively, "You don't need to go back there. Human Resources will help you complete all the paperwork today." Kevin was very impressed with Quinn's reaction. He knew that the man had done this more or less because he was interested in his herbal pill, but his concern for the hospital's patients was admirable. After making arrangements for Dr. Willow to take over as hospital director, Quinn turned around to look at Kevin and said, "Mr. Williams, how do you think I handled that?" "Mr. Quinn, you've got my respect," Kevin said with a smile. At that moment, Susan woke up. It was amazing that she had slept through all of that. "Kevin, is your father out of surgery yet?" "Yes, Mom, it's over. Dad has been sent to recovery and then he'll have a private room." Seeing that Kevin was leaving with his mother, Quinn panicked. "Mr. Williams, we still have some unfinished business. How about letting my staff take your mother up to recovery? They should be able to let her speak with him for a few minutes once the anesthesia is worn off." Before Kevin could answer, his mother said thoughtfully, "Kevin, if you have something to do, go ahead. I'll be upstairs with your father." Quinn looked at his assistants and said, What are you all still doing here? Go ahead and escort Mrs. Williams up to recovery. And if she needs anything, do your best to make sure she's happy. President Quinn, if I'm no longer needed here, I'll be on my way." When she saw Quinn arrive, Dr. Willow expected the worst. What she didn't expect was for him to be so friendly to Kevin, which really turned the whole situation around. Somehow she felt that it was because of Kevin that she'd gotten this promotion to hospital director. And now Kevin seemed even more mysterious to her than when she'd first met him. "Mr. Williams, this isn't a good place to talk. Please come with me to my home. Your father will be in good hands while we're gone," Quinn said agreeably. He really couldn't wait to improve his health and his strength. That was far more important to him than firing Richter, who had no sense of medical ethics anyway. "Sure," Kevin replied with a smile. They left the hospital together, and Quinn personally drove Kevin to the most luxurious mansion in the whole metropolitan area. He politely invited Kevin to have a seat while his housekeeper prepared them espressos in the kitchen. Kevin smiled and took a small white vial from his pocket. It contained the 6 herbal pills that he'd prepared the previous night. "Mr. Quinn, this should be just what you're looking for," Kevin said as he poured out a red pill and placed it on the table. "It's hard to believe that such a small herbal pill can help me so much," Quinn said as he carefully held it in his hand. "I guess there's only one thing left to do," he added. "That's right, Mr. Quinn. After you take this pill, you'll feel much better. The ingredients will help to boost all the effort and supplements that you've already tried." "That sounds truly amazing," Quinn said with a laugh. Then he looked at Kevin and said, "Mr. Williams, you're really quite gifted to be able to concoct such a marvelous herbal supplement at such a young age. I appreciate the compliment, but I have a lot more to learn. Just remember that this pill will help you to reach your next goal, but if you are looking for any further improvements, there are other combinations of ingredients that you'll need." "So, do you have better mixtures that you can create?" Quinn asked in surprise. "There are some more advanced combinations that I could try, but I need to learn a lot more before I can refine my technique," Kevin replied honestly. What Kevin had learned was that the mixture of herbs he had been giving his friends and customers only worked up to a certain point. He was also finding out that there was a lot of very rich and powerful people who were interested in using these supplements to get an edge, and in a lot of different businesses and fields. Here was a man who actually owned a hospital, but still wanted his help. "Mr. Williams, you really are remarkable," Quinn said in astonishment. "Well, let's see how effective it is for you first," Kevin said with a smile. Then he said, "When you take the pill, make sure that you relax, breathe calmly, and give it time to work." "Mr. Williams, aren't you afraid that I won't pay you after I take it?" Quinn joked. "I trust you," Kevin said calmly. "And I know you can afford to pay me. Now go ahead and take it. I'll wait around in case you have any questions." "You're very straightforward, aren't you?" Then he stopped delaying and took the pill. While he was waiting for it to take effect, he ordered his assistant to transfer the $500,000 to Kevin's account. While Quinn was relaxing and waiting for the herbal ingredients to have an effect on him, Kevin took a walk around the room. Quinn seemed to like impressionist art and antique glaze ceramics. "Quinn must be loaded," Kevin thought to himself. "I'm certain that's an original Monet, not a reproduction." Then Kevin walked to the foyer to appreciate the ornate front door and the enormous sliding doors leading to the back patio. He frowned slightly. Something didn't look right to him. After a while, Quinn got up and walked over to him. "Mr. Williams, I can already tell that your pill is working. I haven't felt this vibrant in years." "I'm very glad to hear that," Kevin said seriously. "But it helps that you've already put so much effort into your health and well-being. Some of these supplements require several doses, but it looks like this one should help you with a single pill." Then Kevin turned around in a circle, starting at the front door and looking at the various wings of the first floor. "How have things been going for you since you moved here?" Kevin asked carefully. "Now that you mention it, my business was doing great when I built this place, but lately it's slowed down a little. I thought it was just the economy, so I've been trying to diversify. Why do you ask?" Quinn was wondering what Kevin was getting at. "I recently set up a new apartment at Corwin Tower in Chicago. While I was decorating it, a friend of mine gave me a book on feng shui. I'm not usually superstitious," Quinn replied. "But I am curious to hear what you have to say." "I know a thing or two, but not a lot," Kevin went on. "This is a beautiful mansion, but something's not quite right. If you're into feng shui, of course." "Please continue." Kevin pointed at the beautiful oak door and said, "It looks to me like any positive energy comes in the front door and goes straight out the back of the house." "That's very interesting," Quinn said as he looked from the front of the house to the back. "You know, my last home was very different. When you walked in, you felt like you wanted to sit down and settle in. When I walk in here, I just want to keep going and head out to the patio," Quinn said in amazement. Kevin looked him in the eyes and said, "Mr. Quinn, you may want to consider getting someone in here to advise you. I'll bet you'll feel productive in no time." Quinn nodded in agreement. "You know, I haven't been getting much done in this home. Maybe there's something to this feng shui stuff. As long as I'm working on improving my body, why not do the same for my home?" He paused for a moment and said, "You've been very helpful, my friend." "It's my pleasure," Kevin said generously. "I'll have a copy of the book sent to you right away. Then you'll know more about the subject than I do." "I'd appreciate that," Quinn smiled. "But now I need to head back to the hospital and visit with my father." "Please let me drive you back," Quinn offered. "No thanks. You need to stay here and rest so you can get the full benefit of the herbal ingredients." "Then I'll have my chauffeur take you back. It's the least I can do." When Kevin got back to the hospital, his father had already woken up and was feeling better. His mother was sitting by the bed feeding him some vanilla pudding. Dr. Willow walked in and said to Kevin, "I'm glad you're finally back. How did the operation go? Were there any complications?" "Everything's going as well as can be expected. I'm just observing your father's condition. I'm also checking to see if there's anything I can help with." Then she paused awkwardly and added, "I have to go make rounds. Excuse me." Kevin was confused by Dr. Willow's reaction to seeing him. Was he that frightening? While he was thinking about this, "Kevin, I have something to ask you." "Dad, no matter what it is, I'm sure it can wait until you've recovered." Of course, Kevin knew what his father wanted to ask him, but he didn't want to discuss the fight at the Williams family mansion. He didn't feel like being nice to them. What Kevin wanted right now was to teach them a lesson. When his father heard that Kevin didn't want to talk about it, he sighed and went back to sleep. Early the next morning, Dr. Willow had breakfast sent to Ellen and Susan, but Kevin had already left by the time it arrived. When Kevin got to the Williams mansion, his Uncle Thomas was sitting in the head chair. The other family members who had shown up were sitting quietly with solemn expressions on their faces. They looked as if they were waiting for something unpleasant to happen. As Kevin slowly walked into the large reception room, his cousin Ethan leapt up from his chair. "I can't believe you have the nerve to come back here." The rest of his relatives started to berate him, telling him to get the hell out of the family mansion because he didn't belong there. He just stood there and patiently waited for them to run out of insults. Then he stared at his uncle and said, "It's already been a day since I informed you of my intent. Is the money ready?" The insults started flying again, and Kevin just stood there, unemotional. Thomas raised his hand and gestured for everyone to calm down. "Please, let's have some order here. We need to resolve this," he told them. Then he turned to his nephew and said sadly, "Kevin, do you really want to see the entire family go bankrupt?" The $8 billion that Kevin had invested in the family business had saved them from financial ruin. But returning the money to him now would put them in an even worse position than before. "Kevin, aren't you a member of this family?" Thomas asked him glumly. "Am I a member of the Williams family?" Kevin said with a sad smile. "You must be joking. You all drove me out of the family 3 years ago. Who in this room really considers me to be a true Williams?" Thomas didn't know how to answer. "When my father collapsed and was taken to the hospital, which of you went to visit him?" Kevin clenched his fists and said, "If that's how you treat family, then I'd like my $8 billion back." Monty walked over to Kevin and put his hand on his shoulder. He pleaded with him. "Kevin, you must realize that doing this will drive us to financial ruin." "Mr. Aspinwall, Monty, I hope you can stand by my side like you did 3 years ago. Kevin said slowly. I promise I won't let you down.
Can't we work this out somehow? Thomas implored him.
What do you think I should do? Continue to let them insult me? Let Laura and Ethan make my father so angry that he has another heart attack? Thomas took a deep breath. He knew that his wife and son had gone too far.
Kevin, this concerns the future of our family. It's out of my hands. I've already called your grandfather and he's on his way back to New York. He should be here soon. When he arrives, we can sit down and discuss this further. What do you think? Whether we sell our shares or let the family go bankrupt, I'll leave it up to you.
Grandpa Williams? Kevin was surprised to hear that his grandfather was on the way there. Without even thinking, he agreed. After that, Kevin looked at Monty. When he saw the determination in Monty's eyes, he let out a heavy sigh before he turned around and walked out the door. Don't ever come back here, Ethan shouted at him. Kevin's other relatives started shouting more insults at him. He forced a smile and thought to himself, it's true. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your relatives. Of course, Kevin didn't really want the Williams family to go bankrupt. All he wanted was for them to apologize to him and his parents for their behavior. As soon as Kevin got into the car, his phone rang. Kevin, where are you? It was Lily calling from Chicago. I'm in New York City, but I'm planning to head back very soon. Okay, I'll wait for you to come back. Then you can take me out for a stroll, Lily said with a slight hesitation. I'll be there in a couple of hours. I just have to get to the airport. After Kevin hung up the phone, he decided to call his parents and let them know that he was heading back to Chicago. He figured that Dr. Willow was keeping a close eye on his father, so he didn't need to worry too much. When Kevin got back to his apartment at Corwin Tower, Lily and Rachel were waiting for him by the elevator. Honey, I'm home, Kevin said with a smile. Let's go out for a walk. You can carry my shopping bags today, Lily said happily. Ever since Tyler had transferred the Jones family shares to Lily, her relatives' attitudes had changed completely. Okay, Kevin smiled. Then he reached out to shake Rachel's hand. Hi, boss, Rachel said nervously. It took them about a half an hour to reach a good parking garage off of Michigan Avenue. Kevin followed Lily and Rachel patiently as they wandered aimlessly looking at the store windows. They finally decided to go into a very high-end jewelry store. Let's see what catches her eye, Kevin thought to himself. Kevin and Lily walked into a chic jewelry store and Lily's eyes lit up when she saw a beautiful necklace in the display case. Do you want to try it on? Kevin said with a smile. Do you think you might want to buy it for me? Lily turned her head and said as she batted her eyelashes playfully. The price tag says it cost $20,000. Do you think you could afford it? Kevin didn't answer Lily's question. Instead, he turned around and said to the sales associate, Hi, could you please take this necklace out so my wife could try it on? The associate walked over reluctantly. She took one look at Kevin and assumed he couldn't afford the necklace. I'm sorry, but that's not permitted. All jewelry must be purchased before it can be removed from the case, she said in a condescending tone. Based on Kevin's clothing, she decided that he was just trying to impress the beautiful woman who was accompanying him. I'm sorry, did you say that you have to buy it before you can try it on? Kevin was amused. If my wife hasn't tried it on, how will she know if she likes it? The associate didn't want to waste any more time with Kevin, so she replied curtly, Don't worry about that. Our jewelers can make the appropriate adjustments so that the item will fit her correctly. Lily was starting to get self-conscious. She knew that Kevin couldn't be making an enormous salary even though his employer seemed to be pretty generous. She figured that $20,000 would be way out of Kevin's price range. And even though Lily was now in control of over half of her family's shares, along with the profits from the import-export company, the money wasn't really hers to spend on things like this. Kevin, why don't we leave? Lily said as she tugged on Kevin's sleeve. Kevin was disappointed to hear her say this. He wanted to give her the finest things that money could buy. Just then, everyone heard a shrill voice order the associate, Take this necklace out so I can try it on. They looked over and saw an elegantly dressed woman holding an older man's arm. As she walked over to the display case, she was pointing at the necklace Lily wanted. Okay, just a moment, ma'am, the associate said as she unlocked the case to remove the necklace for the woman. Kevin was irritated by this. Didn't you just say that you don't allow anyone to try anything on if they haven't already paid for it? Kevin asked indignantly. But can you afford it? She replied disdainfully. I've seen a lot of people like you try this kind of stunt. You just want to take a photo when you try it on and then post it online to impress your friends. What are you talking about? Kevin asked sharply. If you really can afford it, why don't you just buy it? The sales associate said impatiently. How much money can someone like you earn in a year? And what if you get the necklace dirty? It costs us money to clean fine jewelry like this. This store only sells high-end jewelry. We have items that some people couldn't afford if they saved for their entire lives, she added. Now Lily felt really awkward. She really didn't have the spare money to buy this necklace now. Kevin, let's hurry up and leave, Lily said timidly. He patted her on the hand and smiled. Then he took out his black card and tossed it on the counter. You know, I don't really have the time for this. Wrap up every piece of jewelry in the store. I'm buying it all for my wife. She didn't even look at the black card and said snobbishly, Yeah, right. We checked our inventory just an hour ago, and the current stock in the display cases is valued at over $1.4 million. If your card is rejected, I'm calling the police. Then she entered some numbers on the computer and swiped the card. And the sale went through. She looked at Kevin, then at his card, and then back at the screen. Her legs started to feel weak, and she sat down on her stool. The manager saw that something wasn't right and rushed out of the back office. When he looked at the screen and saw the numbers, he almost lost his balance and had to sit down too. They had never seen anything like this. As the manager handed Kevin back his card, he asked hesitantly, Sir, is this your card? Yes. I used it to buy these clothes, too. What do you think of my outfit? Kevin said sarcastically. I'm sorry, sir, that was a silly question. Thank you very much for your patronage. The manager was so freaked out that he couldn't even speak clearly. My pleasure, Kevin said as he took back his card. Wrap everything up and send it to the penthouse at Corwin Tower. Kevin didn't forget to sneer at the rude man and his charming companion. The two of them were so embarrassed that they practically ran out of the store without saying another word. Come on, honey, let's go, Kevin said affectionately to Lily. I just wanted to try on the necklace. Why did you buy the entire store? Lily was very confused and asked him, Where did you get so much money from? I've never bought you anything nice, so I figured I had a lot of catching up to do, Kevin said as he shrugged his shoulders. Don't try to avoid my question. Tell me honestly, where did you get all this money? Lily asked again. She wasn't so easy to fool. Well, as you know, I've been helping my boss for the past couple of weeks. My latest project just earned him about $140 million, so he gave me a bonus of 1% of the sale. It was just enough to cover this purchase. Kevin was lying, but technically he was his own boss, so he figured he was just bending the truth a little. Lily was even more confused now. How could Kevin's boss be so generous? Just then, Kevin's phone rang. When he saw that it was Phoebe Anderson calling, he immediately answered. Hello, Kevin. Are you free right now? She sounded a little anxious. Yes, I'm free. What's wrong? Kevin asked. He was puzzled by her tone of voice. Please come to the store. There's something I need you to settle right away, Phoebe said quickly. Then she hung up the phone before Kevin could say anything. Kevin shook his head helplessly. He could tell that Phoebe needed help right away, so he decided to bring Lily and Rachel along to Anderson's Antiques. As soon as he entered the store, he saw a large group of people standing around a table and whispering to each other. Several of them were antique shop owners from the neighborhood. They were convinced that they were looking at a replica because the object was in such good condition. Kevin finally managed to squeeze through the crowd along with Lily and Rachel. Phoebe was staring at an antique marble bust and frowning as she tried to make a decision. She was deep in thought. How much do you plan to sell this for? Phoebe asked the seller.
Ma'am, this bust has been in my family for generations. If I didn't need money for an emergency, I'd never have brought it in. The young man scratched his chin and said, It should be worth about $60,000, don't you agree? The antique shop owners in the crowd started whispering to each other. Some thought it might be worth it. Others wouldn't give him $50 for it. Kevin squinted and took a close look at the marble bust. It looked like an authentic Roman bust, probably from the 2nd century. As he walked around it, he could see that someone had tried to repair it, probably in the 1600s. Kevin asked the young man right away, How much do you want? Didn't I just tell you? $60,000, he said impatiently. All right, I'll take it, Kevin said directly. As soon as he said this, the onlookers immediately started to quiet down. They couldn't believe that he was willing to spend so much on an obvious fake. But some of the antique shop owners remembered what happened the last time Kevin was there, and they were curious to see what he would do. But Phoebe was still staring at the bust with a thoughtful frown on her face. She felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Suddenly, Lily tugged on Kevin's sleeve and asked him, Do you know anything about antiques? Be careful. Even though Lily didn't know anything about antique appraisals, she could hear what everyone in the room was saying, and it made her very nervous, especially after watching Kevin buy the entire contents of a Michigan Avenue jewelry store. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing, Kevin whispered to her. But these people said it was a fake. Take a good look at it. $60,000 is a lot of money. Don't be cocky, Lily warned him. Trust me, Lily, Kevin said confidently. Hearing this, the young man got excited and said to Kevin, I can tell you have good taste. President Anderson, please allow me to cover this man's sale, Kevin said as he handed his black card to Phoebe. Are you sure you don't want to take a closer look? Be careful, Phoebe said worriedly. It wasn't that she didn't trust Kevin's judgment. On the contrary, Phoebe knew that Kevin was an expert who had already helped her save the company a fortune. But she still had her doubts about this item. Don't you trust me yet? Kevin laughed softly. The young man said, You rock. He gave Kevin a thumbs up, then took a bracelet out of his backpack. Phoebe's eyes lit up when she saw it. Do you want to sell this too? She asked delicately. As soon as she said this, everyone stared at the bracelet in the man's hand. I found this bracelet by accident. If you're interested in it, I'll sell it to you for $25,000. The man carefully placed the bracelet on the table. Phoebe's expression immediately turned serious. Once again, the antique dealers who were watching this spectacle started chattering to each other. They thought it looked interesting and they were impressed with its color. They couldn't tell if the stone was an emerald or tourmaline, but it was in such good condition they didn't believe it was an antique. If it was a reproduction, there was no way it was worth $25,000. The young man heard the discussion and pressed Phoebe to pay the full amount. I can't take any less than $25,000. If you don't want it, I'm sure I can find another buyer. After Phoebe carefully examined it, she let out a sigh. She could tell that this bracelet wasn't bad, but it couldn't possibly be worth $25,000. Kevin, who had just taken back his black card, asked her, May I take a look? If you want to buy it, you can have it for $20,000, the man said happily. After all, he had already made $60,000 from Kevin. Kevin picked up the bracelet and looked at it from all angles. Then he raised it over his head and looked at how the stone looked in the light. Then he put it next to his ear and flicked it a few times with his finger. Finally, he turned to Phoebe and informed her, You can buy it. $25,000 sounds reasonable. Some of the antique dealers started to criticize him for his decision. They thought that he was giving Phoebe bad advice. But the ones who had seen Kevin at work before knew better and smiled as they waited to see what would happen next.
Hi, Kevin here. If you're wondering what happens next, then stay tuned on the Pocket FM Universe channel for more episodes.